Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another Unit Loss video brought to you by me, Josh. Hello, hi. How are you? Hopefully you're feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good because I'm going to be reviewing a game for you guys today. We're going to be talking somewhat about the game, but we're also going to be talking about Dallas Fuel once again because this is going to be one of the fastest redemption stories that I've ever had. And I'm using that word very pointedly, rather. Because something interesting happened not too long ago. So, for example, I made a video that I don't think went live, but whatever, about Shanghai Dragons. Because Shanghai Dragons are constantly sort of hounded and pounded on because they are by far the worst team in the league. Like, bar none, they are the worst team in the league. And recently they got a couple of new players in. Now, you might be wondering, wait, this is meant to be about Dallas Fuel, why are you talking about Shanghai? Bear with me, trust me, it's worth it. So Shanghai get casted in this game, and the casters describe Shanghai as basically like the chances of them winning this game are so low, so limited that you don't really look for the team to win there. You're not really setting them up for a win. And some people go, well, why are you being so biased? Why do you hate Shanghai so much? Why aren't you portraying them in a more positive light? And the answer is that there isn't really a positive light there to portray them with. It's not really tenable that they are actually going to come out ahead in that game or win in that game. Instead, you want to portray the more realistic circumstance. You want to portray the fact that, hey, yeah, they're probably not going to do too well. And so we come to Dallas, okay? Dallas, realistically speaking, have been having a tough time, and they're playing in a series now against New York Excelsior. One of the, if not the strongest team in the league. They are leading the table in terms of map wins. They are phenomenally strong, very good team. Perform pretty much consistently throughout and are universally considered, well, not universally, but generally considered to be currently the strongest team in the Overwatch League. Now, this series is the beginning of the redemption story, and there's a couple of things that you might notice going on over here that is kind of special, predominantly this Mei. Now, this is a strategy that is actually not unheard of. The Mei Reaper is very good in closed encounters, in closed spaces, where you're trying to just force the enemy, basically, you know, you're doing the Rorschach of, you know, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me, sort of idea where, you know, the Mei is going to pin people in place and then the Reaper, Roadhog, everything else can just smash them to pieces. The one interesting thing I will point out is there's no Reinhardt on this team lineup, which is kind of interesting. NYXL, meanwhile, well, they're playing standard, they're playing bread and butter, nothing untoward there. But I wanted to talk about this Shanghai thing because after that cast, the people on Twitter started getting onto the caster at the time, Monte Cristo, who's saying, you know, why do you hate him so much? Why do you hate Shanghai Dragon so much? Is this unfair? And there was a really nice reply given by the another caster from another game called Anders, sorry, he used to cast with Semler, and he came out and said that part of, you know, you're not going to lie on cast. You don't want to lie when you're on stream. You don't want to tell people and deceive people in, hey, yeah, no, they're on even footing. There's an even chance here of victory. That's not fair. That's not true, and people will see through it instantly. It's transparent and it's obvious, okay? And what Anders said, which I thought was super clever as well, is that if you lie to people and say, yeah, Dallas Fuel are fine, everything's okay with Dallas Fuel, they're an okay team, they're fine, there's no problems there, there's no real problems there, you miss out on moments like this. This game is the start of a Cinderella story. This is the start of the redemption arc for Dallas Fuel. What made this game so different? What made this series so different? A number of big things. First and foremost, they are playing kind of a cutesy tactic here, but they're executing it well, and they're communicating. It's also nice to see Seagull sort of coming back, but it's nice to see them just executing a relatively high execution strategy, right? The Mei wall has to be spot on. Rascal has to be able to do that, communicate to his team that he wants to do the Mei wall, what he's looking to do with that, and how the team's going to react when it happens. People have to react off the back of that cue. Comms have to be clear, concise, crisp and clean. And we actually did get a snippet of their comms. I'll try and play it a little bit later between sort of the rounds so it's not interrupting this directly, but their comms are much crisper. And this is only in like a week or so of gameplay. It's incredible to me about how well they've sort of managed to shape stuff up and how well Effect and Rascal in particular are playing together. This was a cheeky little flank by Effect as well. Gets shut down pretty much instantly, not too surprising there, but still manages to get enough results, get some good damage out, manages to stop Libero. It's all very good, and like hopefully you guys are on board with me on this one, that I, as a caster especially, like as someone who does cast and someone who does produce tournaments every so often with the help of, you know, a bunch of other very talented individuals, I never want to be in a position where I'm on a cast and lying about someone's chances just so in case, I don't know, just to not make a fan feel bad. I always want to say up front that this team's chances are not great. Dallas Fuel still going to be one of the weaker teams in the league, to be honest with you. They've recently just finished a game against London Spitfire. Part of why this video was slightly delayed is I wanted to see some of how that went, but it looked good. It looked a lot better than what we've seen out of Dallas Fuel before, because being honest with you and being completely bald-faced with you, what we saw out of Dallas Fuel in the past was embarrassing. I have done long haul series where I've gone over a Dallas Fuel game, a series rather, for 3 hours, just going over sort of every engagement, every single fight, and the amount of times it will just be tanks off on their own, completely isolated, doing different things than what the rest of the team is doing. Everyone is trying to do their own thing. There's no communication, no synergy. It's abysmal, it's frustrating, and it's so annoying to watch.
They have trans? They have trans beat?
Yeah, no, trans, no beat. They have trans on.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Trans on, beat off.
I'm ready. Yes.
Alright, Nano Mickey, into them. Try and force trans.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm playing.
No, go top left. Go
Go.
top.
Can't.
I'm dead. Oh, tanks and all.
Try to sleep in spawn. Can anyone help?
Yeah.
3.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
I'm coming back with trans.
Trace the one behind point.
Dead. Nice.
Oh.
I have trans.
Okay.
Nice.
That's so
Now then, I managed to talk my way through all of the Mate and Reaper gameplay, but honestly, it's a pretty simple strategy to get working. It's one that if you want to run on ladder, you're gonna want to do it with a couple of friends, and you're gonna want to make sure that your team's not gonna get too angry at you for trying to do it either, because it does require a little bit of finesse to get working. You want to get some early picks, and you've got to make sure that you are isolating targets, and that's the big factor here. If you split a team, but there's still so many people that people aren't dying on the opposite side of that ice wall, that's a big deal. Part of why it works so well in Control Center is, of course, that Reinhardt is very, very pivotal to how that map works. So you can isolate the Reinhardt more often than not, get a couple of kills, and then go from there. Now, this is where I was super interested in this series. This is where I started sort of sitting up and paying attention. Because sure, Dallas Fuel, they bring out Rascal. And Rascal is known for playing these off-the-wall heroes, the interesting picks, and getting some results with them. But this is Dallas Fuel playing a standard comp against NYXL. This is just head-to-head mirrored comps. Let's see how Effect and Rascal manage. Let's see how Seagull does on the off-tank role. And I've got to say, Seagull's performance was actually pretty good, and it continues to be pretty good. I was super worried at first, and I think someone on the analyst desk mentioned it, and I kind of agree with it, is that when you're looking at Mickey and Seagull, who have swapped roles in this team, Mickey now moving to the main tank, Seagull moving to off-tank when he was formerly a DPS player, you're looking at them not really to make big plays and not really define and set the tempo. What you're looking for them is to almost not be mentioned, right? They should just kind of be there and be functional and be purposeful in what they're doing, but they shouldn't be, you know, the one that you're going, oh no, Mickey's just jumped in and died again. And that wasn't happening. Mickey's actually been playing a very, very solid Winston. Seagull's been playing a very solid D.Va so far, and it's actually looking really good for these guys. Also, good news that I saw after the series was finished was Taimu tweeted out afterwards that, hey, he might be playing DPS again. So it looks like Dallas Fuel are going to have Taimu once again on that DPS option, while Seagull moves more to the off-tank role. I'm going to be interested to see how the Dallas Fuel arrange that DPS, however, as they do have Effect and Rascal for a very, very strong sort of combo. You can see them playing here on this dive combo. And they also have AKM on the wings as well as a solid hits gameplay. So where Taimu fits in, we'll see in the longer term. Otherwise, in the game itself, like NYXL managed to make their way back on the point. They're actually in a really solid place as well. NYXL managed to build up a number of ultimates. Jajonak, in particular, is always a player you should keep an eye on in terms of how quickly he builds up these ultimates. Because he's doing damage as that Zenyatta, he's actually building up ultimates quite often a lot faster than his rivals are. Chips Hyan, especially, has been having a very, very rough time. Pulse Bomb, a bit of a whiff there, manages to sort of catch it, I think, with the Winston bubble there, but it's still not going to be enough as NYXL set themselves up for a perfect dive. Execute, kill Chips, no problem. Beautifully done. Like, superbly done out of NYXL. This is what you expect out of NYXL. It is crisp, it is clean, it is efficient, and it's solid. They did manage to get Jajonak's Transcendence, however, so this sets up Dallas for a counterpunch, and this is what you're hoping out of Dallas, is that they're setting themselves up for victory here. And the interesting thing is this. Even though the Lucio has Sound Barrier, Arc can Sound Barrier to cancel out Rascal trying to go in here, it doesn't actually matter that much. Sound Barrier can be overwhelmed quite easily, and especially if you use a support ulti of your own, it's very, very easy to actually break through that. So Dallas Fuel engage, they try and engage using that Sound Barrier. NYXL just use their mobility, peel away, stay out of the way of the team, and Rascal still holds on to his Dragon Blade. He's actually waiting for the fight to sort of peter out, waiting for NYXL to be engaged, to be stuck in the fight, and then he's going to try and get something done with the Dragon Blade. During that time, however, Libero turns around, gets his Dragon Blade out a little bit faster, and gets a huge amount of value out of the back of it. NYXL is a little bit more decisive, knowing how to sort of melt away and then sort of move like water, move like the tides, basically. Peel out and then peel back in. Rascal's trying to do the same thing. He's getting results, but it might be too little too late. It's all a little bit on the edge at the moment. It's all a little bit, you know, who knows how this fight is going to end up. But Mickey and Seagull still getting work done. And again, just performing on these two heroes that they shouldn't be performing this well on. Like NYXL, and like this is why telling the truth in my mind is so important, NYXL are leagues above Dallas Fuel. They are such a strong team at the moment. Dallas Fuel are in the bottom 3 and have been losing in embarrassing fashion to a number of teams. And here they are exchanging punches with NYXL in a really, really solid fashion, in straight up gameplay. There's no gimmicks here, there's no tricks here, there's no, oh well, NYXL don't know how to play against the Mei, so they're losing. There's none of that here. It's just straight up fighting, and it's actually going down to the wire. Mickey does an okay job on the stalling, does get focused down at the end of the day, and it does start to sort of peter out and start to crumble in places. But I hope you guys were as excited as I was when you saw this series, if you did watch this series live, to see Dallas just looking like a team. Like they look like an Overwatch League team now. They don't look like, you know, how Shanghai look or how Florida sometimes look, just to rag on the losing teams a little bit more. No, they actually look like they are up there and actually competing now on the same level. It's not a case of, oh god, it's Dallas, here comes an easy 4-0. No, now Dallas is like, okay, they're on the comeback, and now they can actually take games off someone. Florida is actually in the same position as well. Florida have been stepping up their gameplay, looking stronger as things have changed for them. I believe they've got a change in the coaching staff on the back end on Florida as well, and so they're looking stronger overall. And so we're seeing these redemption stories. Custer in particular as well, I'm going to highlight him because, hey, he's just filled up the kill feed in a beautiful fashion. I think Custer has the makings of a team captain, and I really do want to see more of it. Like, I want to hear more of Custer. I want to hear more about how Custer is leading this team, because he definitely seems to be doing the predominant role in the shot calling. He has the right temperament, I find, for a team captain. He has the right kind of attitude towards his gameplay, from what I can tell, and he seems to just have the makings of that captaincy role, and I think that will be a really, really solid position for him overall. Meanwhile, like, it's definitely, like, judging by how vocal Rascal is in the clips that we've heard, Rascal seems to be the kind of guy who's going to actually lead from the front as well. And as a result, Dallas Fuel take the series. And sure, like, part of it was gimmicky, half of it was gimmicky, the other half wasn't, and that to me is more important, right? And that's where I want to really sort of knuckle down, is that Dallas Fuel just beat NYXL in a straight up map. No one would have predicted that actually happening properly. No one would have predicted that. So very well done to you, Dallas Fuel. Hats off to you. Hats off to the beginning, hopefully, of your Cinderella story. Hats off to the beginning of hopefully something good happening for you guys, because goodness knows you've needed it. Especially with, you know, another tank coming in. I guess main tank is cursed on that team, because another main tank's come in and has been banned. Do you think Sty's mentioned in a video? If not, it's all out there on Twitter. But yeah, don't account boost, kids. Especially if you're going to be a pro gamer. Doodles.